بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Welcome back, dear viewers, and today we're continuing our mini series on the soul of tarbiyah. We've covered four of our major points. Just to recap, it was al-mahabba wal-ma'rifa, the love and recognition of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which was the first and most foundational. The second is at-tashakhus wal-abdiyah, meaning a Muslim identity and understanding that I am but a slave of Allah, a servant of Allah, and what the ummah is and what the concept of the ummah is, and how each and every Muslim is dearer to me than my own self. And no matter where they live, which race, which color, which background they belong to, every Muslim is my brother, my sister, and we are one body. We're one unit. So that identity, identifying ourselves as Muslims. And then the third one was al-azama wal-hurma, having the um, the greatness and the reverence for deen and the representations, the symbols that represent deen, whatever is associated with deen. And this was the third one. The fourth one was al-ittiba' wal-ita'a, meaning making Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam the role model and imam of your life, ensuring that in all our practical aspects of our life we follow his way, and we start that off with our children on things that are part of their daily life routine, following Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and making him the imam of your life. And now we come to the fourth one. It's very interesting and it's very vast. It covers a lot of area. So we'll be breaking it down into three parts. And this is, we call it al-ihtisab wal-aqiba, accountability and consequences. The gist of this is that every Muslim grows up knowing and understanding that I am answerable and responsible for all my words and actions. I am answerable and responsible for all my words and actions. My words and my actions bear consequences. My words and my actions affect others, have an impact on others. What impact are they having? Is that impact, is that effect something that pleases my Lord, pleases my Allah, or displeases Allah? Is this something that is permitted for me, or is it impermissible for me? Is this something I can do or I cannot do? And if I choose to do that which I'm not supposed to do, I will be answerable. I will have to bear the consequences. There will be repercussions. So this understanding and this cognizance is such a powerful aspect of tarbiyah, because this is what separates humans from animals, first of all. Animals have no such sense in general. And not only that, it is what allows a person to be a functioning member of society. Otherwise, that's why you have a lot of sociopaths. Sociopaths basically don't hold themselves accountable for anything they say or do. They feel entitled and correct. They don't have a sense of remorse or guilt on if they have harmed someone or ruined their home, ruined their life, damaged them, damaged their property, whatever they might have done. They have absolutely no sense of regret, or that I have to apologize to someone, or I have to ensure that my actions, my words don't cause damage to others. They simply run away from that situation. They simply hide from that situation, and they feel they were absolutely right in doing what they did. And unfortunately, because of a lack of tarbiyah, sociopathy is just skyrocketing around the world, among Muslims, among non-Muslims, because we are not holding people accountable for what they do. And the belief in akhirah is the strongest tenet that holds a person accountable, because you can't have people policing you all the time. It's that fear of the unseen, and I use the word fear very loosely because it doesn't equate to the fear that we might have of something that is coming out to harm me, to get me, a boogeyman or whatever, right? It's a fear that leads towards um, decency and obedience and compliance. Um, so the belief in the akhirah. That's why Allah subhanahu wa taala in the Quran always mentions, or in ahadith Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir, man amana billahi wal yawmil akhir. You'll see, whoever believes in Allah and the day and the last day, believes in Allah and the last day. This keeps repeating in the Quran and in the Sunnah, because one is not complete without the other. You cannot have belief in Allah without belief in the last day, in the akhirah, in the life after death. And you cannot have iman in the life after death and not have iman in Allah. That it doesn't make sense. So it's the Quraysh of Makkah, for example, they didn't believe in the life after death, but they believed in Allah. They said Allahu Akbar, Allah is the greatest. They just didn't believe in La ilaha illallah, that Allah is the only one worthy of worship. That is where but they completely denied the akhirah. So أَرَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ. That don't you see the one who denies the day of judgment, that there is no akhirah, there's no consequences. So having that yaqeen, that belief, that certainty in that I'm accountable on that day for everything I've said and done, and I'm accountable for that in this life as well. I can't get away with it. This shapes the ethics and morality of a human being. So now in this, when we speak about akhirah to our children, it's not easy to instill this cognizance of akhirah into anyone, let alone children. And those who are able to do it, hats off to them, salam to them. They're some of the greatest people in this world, whether they're parents or they're teachers, they're scholars, however they're able to do it. But this is a great challenge. It's not impossible. It's just that it requires dedication, and it requires it's sensitive, because when we talk about qiyamah and about hisab, we talk about reward and punishment, we talk about Jannah, Jahannam, then you have to balance things out. So let's take Jannah, for example. We speak to our children about Jannah, and how do we... Jannah's unknown, unseen. فِيمَا تَشْتَهِي أَنفُسُكُمْ وَلَكُمْ فِيهَا مَا تَدَّعُونَ. It's where whatever you desire, it will be completed. Now you cannot even imagine that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as He also says, فَلَا تَعْلَمْ نَفْسٌ مَا أُخْفِيَ لَهُم مِّن قُرَّةِ أَعْيُنٍ جَزَاءً بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. So nobody knows, no soul knows what has been kept in store for the comfort of their eyes. So just to comfort your eyes, it's unfathomable what Allah wants to give you. لَهُمْ مَا يَشَاءُونَ فِيهَا وَلَدَيْنَا مَزِيدٌ. There's everything there which they desire, وَلَدَيْنَا مَزِيدٌ, and much more that we will give them that even they are unable to desire. It's beyond your desires. So how do you bring that into someone's consciousness, into someone's cognizance? Well, we do it the same way Allah does it. See, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us examples or what we call reflections within this worldly life that imitate the blessings of Jannah. So كلما رزق أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم كلما رزقوا من ثمرة رزقا قالوا هذا الذي رزقنا من قبل وأتوا به متشابها وأتوا به متشابها. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows reflections, imitations of that in this world. So when people in Jannah, they will be presented with the fruits of Jannah, they will actually say, we've had these sort of fruits in dunya, apples and bananas and grapes and pomegranate. But when they actually taste it, they're like, no, this is absolutely not the same thing. We've never had something like this. So the fruits of Jannah can never be replicated in dunya. But as Allah has kept these fruits as an imitation and something that reminds us of the blessings of Jannah, this is how we turn our children's attention towards Jannah. So using the imitations that we have here, same thing with Jahannam, and whether it's the hardships and punishments, or I wouldn't say punishments, the snakes and scorpions of this world, etc. But be careful with Jahannam. Don't overexpose our little children to Jahannam. Let's not even talk about Jahannam. With little children, it's just something that it's there. But going into detail, this can have very uh, mm, damaging effects on their psyche. We don't want to overdo this. Not until they're reaching towards their uh, adolescence is when it really kicks in, and we can go into little detail about it. But even then, just as much as someone can process it and digest it, with little ones, I completely do not recommend anyone even, being suggestive about the torments of the hellfire. It's enough just to say that, well, there are going to be consequences, um, and that too with as they grow up. So the day of Qiyamah, there is going to be a day we will be held accountable. And same thing, the only way Qiyamah will make sense for children is if they're held accountable in this world, if there are consequences in this world. Maybe you told your child not to play with a ball in a certain room, and they proceed to do that anyway, and they break something, they break, a lamp or etc. And now you come home and you ask, okay, who did this? How did this happen? And now you're expecting them to tell the truth and be apologetic and regretful. And there should be some consequences, because some corrective measures, not necessarily punishment, but some corrective measure, because unless you hold them accountable in this world, they will not hold themselves accountable, whether to the law in this world or in the hereafter. So it's a very sensitive matter. It's not something we gloss over. A lot of parents or a lot of people, they hold on to this sort of philosophy that, oh, just let them do whatever and don't, that is not the approach that the Prophet ﷺ has given us. And we cannot just let them do whatever, because that's what they'll do their entire lives. Then they'll just do whatever they want, and they'll feel entitled to do it because they were never guided, and they were never held accountable when they were growing up. So similarly with reward and punishment, let's reward the good things they do, because Allah is the most appreciative. وَكَانَ اللَّهُ شَاكِرًا عَلِيمًا. Allah is the most appreciative, and He knows the good deeds you do. He will definitely reward you in the best manner possible. You may forget what you did. He will not forget the good you did. So therefore, if we want our children to be hopeful for the rewards of akhirah, then we have to give them rewards for the good deeds they do, for the good things they do in this life. Similarly, if we want them to, refrain from sinning and otherwise, breaking laws, delving into the impermissible, then we have to hold them accountable for things we have told them to do or not to do as well. And there has to be some corrective measures, not punishments, corrective measures. The difference between a punishment and corrective measure generally is that punishment is without regard to whether the child really understands where they went wrong and how to rectify or correct what they might have, spoiled or made bad, how to make things good. Whereas a corrective measure is a way for them to make good of what they've done wrong, to make amends, to recompense someone for what they might have done. That's a corrective measure. And if they go through corrective measures, then they internalize the wrong as being wrong, and then they do not take that as an option the next time. And if they're continuously doing the same thing, that means your punishments are useless unless there is an understanding and a cognizance that that what is right and what is wrong, and why it's wrong, and why it should not be done again, why it should not be repeated, what sort of pain or damage it causes to others, or whether it is something that Allah does not want you to do. Whatever the reasoning is, they should internalize that. And of course, that comes with taqwa. And taqwa, we translate as fear of Allah, but that's a very loose definition. Once again, as I said in the beginning, taqwa basically means to safeguard yourself, to save yourself. Taqwa is to save yourself, basically. Save yourself from what? Save yourself from the ire, from the angst of Allah Azza wa Jal, from His displeasure. Just like any other entity in our life who we may regard and revere, we do not want them to be upset at us, whether it's our parents, our fathers especially. We don't want them upset at us because we love them. We don't want to upset them. Similarly, we love Allah, so we don't want to draw the ire of Allah. We don't want to displease Allah because we love Allah. That is taqwa. The taqwa is a branch of love. It's not a branch of fear, actually. And it's a form of love. It's a display of love. And as Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, he asked a Sahabi, I forget his name, I think it was Ubay bin Ka'b radiallahu anhu, if I'm not wrong, that what is the definition of taqwa? And the Sahabi answered that, Amir al-Mu'mineen, have you ever walked on a very narrow path in the forest, in the wilderness, which is crooked, it's bending back and forth, switchblading, and there are thorny bushes on both sides. So have you ever been through such a path? He said, yes. So how did you walk? He said, I kept protecting myself. I safeguarded myself. He said, that is taqwa. That's how you spend life. You're safeguarding yourself from all these thorns. And we have to understand that Allah is watching us. And this is what we instill in our children. Allah is watching us. Allah is watching us. Allah is listening to us. Allah is with us. So we're never alone. Allah is watching us. Allah is always with us. And then in order to reinforce that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about kiraman katibin, ya'lamuna ma tafa'alun, that there are two angels on your right and left, and raqib and atid, and they're writing down whatever you're doing, whatever you're saying. Everything is recorded. And with today's day, back then it was they're scribes and they're writing down. We can understand what it means when you're being recorded. We have CCTV cameras, we have body cameras, etc. So now we know even in more detail what it means that everything is recorded. So nothing is escaping from Allah. Allah knows everything. So this sense that I am answerable, I am being watched, I am being observed, everything I'm doing is being recorded, everything I'm saying is being recorded, and it will have repercussions. I am answerable for this. This sense needs to be developed, and when this sense is developed, these children, not only they become successful members of society, in fact, they become those who bring positive change. They become the keys for the khair and locks for the shar. May Allah make us among those who are the bringers of positive change, and may Allah make us from the keys of the khair and locks for the shar. Jazakumullahu khair. Thank you.